Comic books are an important contributing factor in many cases of juvenile.
Up in the sky!
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Holy, here we go again.
Hello and welcome to These Guys Have Issues, the podcast where we discuss current topics and issues within the comic book community. I am your host, Carter Hutchison.
And I'm your co-host, Huey V.
And if you've listened to our show before, you might notice that we're missing Mike here. We got our producer, Huey V, in the studio with us. Mike, he dissed James Bond so much that he was poisoned by MI6.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's missing today.
By that we mean Carter.
Probably. Don't tell anybody.
Just keep it on the hush-hush.
So it actually kind of worked out well that, honestly, Mike does have a upper respiratory infection, so we hope he gets better quickly.
Bad things always happen to good people.
Oh, man, it's a shame. Damn shame. But if it was going to happen, it's kind of a good thing that happened this week because we had already planned on me and you sitting down and doing a podcast here. So it's actually
really
good timing.
Excited about it, too. Man.
Me too,
I
man.
really appreciate you bringing me on.
Dude, we need to do it more often. Find different ways to, incorporate everybody. So a couple weeks ago, we did a show where we each pitched 5 shows for the DC streaming app.
Right.
So, we thought, why not do the same thing for Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
The Disney app is going to be coming out soon. I'm sure they're going to be making original content for that.
And they've gutted Netflix like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that a lot of their properties are still on there. They took so much off.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll bring them onto the app, onto the Disney app, and just completely sever ties with Netflix. Or I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens to those shows. So yeah, this episode we are going to each pitch 5 different shows for Marvel. And I will admit that my Marvel knowledge is not that deep. Huey has a immense Marvel knowledge, and that is why we had already planned on bringing you in for this one. So
yeah,
I am excited about it. So before we break into it real quick, just a short message from our Patreon. All of Grassroots Comics is funded through our Patreon, patreon.com/grassrootscomics. For as little as $1 a month, you can become part of the Grassroots Comics community, which includes many perks, such as having your name mentioned in this segment of every episode of the podcast, the ability to suggest topics of discussion for shows like These Guys Have Issues, access to the private Grassroots Comics subreddit, where members can continue discussions started on the podcast or start their own, behind-the-scenes access to the GRC studio, and early access to digitally released comics and Classic Cartoon Rewind. So it is the goal of all of us here at Grassroots Comics Productions that one day the Patreon is strong enough where we are able to produce the stories, artwork, and stop-motion animation shorts pitched and selected by the Grassroots Comics community. But the only way that becomes possible is with a strong Patreon. So if you feel that the entertainment value you receive from this podcast is at least worth 25 cents, then please become a Patreon contributor today, and with our powers combined, we can have all of our stories heard. All right, now let's get on with the rest of the show. All right, so Huey, but first off, what did you kind of have a thought process of how you were approaching this, or were you just kind of going with, these are the characters that I would really want to see? And
well, it started with these are characters that I really want to see on screen, whether it be big screen or a tiny silver screen. The other thought process was giving the public something that they haven't seen. We're so used to just just Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man. We're really used to that. And
it's funny that now Iron Man is listed in that A list.
Yeah.
If you had said before 2008, he would have been a C list hero maybe. But Marvel going through hard financial times in the 90s actually forced them to cultivate those characters. So things happen for a reason.
And it wouldn't make any sense for them to have those particular properties go out and move and not be involved to a certain extent.
Yeah.
With Fox, obviously, we were talking about that. Fox has this idea of just being super, artsy and super angsty with the characters, and the only true X-Men movie I remember feeling was the first X-Men movie.
I really like X2.
I liked X2.
No Logan. Do you consider that a X-Men movie? Or
I don't. I just consider it is in the franchise, so you have to consider that. But if we're just talking about just the whole mashup, just the X-Men in general, my whole thing was just like the first one was the only time I got like a real Wolverine.
Right.
Where a real like just
Yeah.
badass, just don't really care. And then after a while, they just kind of do touch the whole, just the tortured side of him.
Sure. Did you see
And
First Class? I feel
I
like
have
we
seen
talked about
First Class.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just recently saw a good bit of it.
Good. That's a really good one. to
It's
take.
really good.
Mhm.
The ones they made after, to a certain extent, they were amazing.
Yeah. I like Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
Age of Apocalypse is kind of it's very meh in my opinion, and we'll see how that Dark Phoenix movie is going to be.
It's a whole recasting and reset button. But with my thought process,
the second time, and we're going to get it a third time, I'm sure, once Marvel officially gets right.
It's
But I
gonna be
will
good.
say, I do like that Fox, because the X-Men movie was before Spider-Man, right?
Mhm.
So they've really been kind of the ones making
Mhm.
big budget superhero movies
Mhm.
the longest.
Yeah.
So to me, they were like, all right, we've done your normal superhero movies. Let's do a Western superhero movie, and then
Mhm.
make Logan. Let's do a horror superhero movie, and then make New Mutants, which I really hope still actually comes out.
Oh, that's gonna be so good.
Because apparently the whole thing is shot, and they're just waiting to do some reshoots, but those reshoots
Yeah.
keep getting delayed, which makes me very nervous.
I remember watching the trailer and I was just
It looks
like,
great.
Oh my god.
I know. I'm excited about it. Hopefully we actually get that, though.
But like I was saying earlier, my process was I was just giving everybody something they haven't seen. A lot of these characters that I picked, they're like secondhand characters, not really characters that drive along
Yeah.
the main person's story.
Mhm.
But they have their own story. They have their own comics. So
Perfect.
in the end of the day, these are the ones that I feel like would do well. I mean,
Right.
obviously, I'm not really good at coming up with like story ideas and
Mhm.
movies, and I
Arcs.
try my hardest coming up with like directors, because you're really big on directors. You
Yeah,
went to school for
right.
this, so
and
you know.
you're right, and showrunners and
Mhm.
stuff. To me, that's where you start, right? That's like
Mhm.
the president or the person that everything's gonna fall down to. You can thank, like, for example, Greg Berlanti
Right.
for running the Arrow Flashverse, and
Mhm.
he is now he's the executive producer on the Doom Patrol show and the Titan show on the DC app. So
Right.
like he's doing the Lord's work. That Doom Patrol show is
It's really good.
oh.
It's really good.
Ugh.
I
It
need
just
to get
keeps
the
getting
streaming
better
app.
too.
I need to get the streaming app because I need to like get into DC a lot more. There's so many good characters.
That'll be.
like,
I will consider that a personal win if you get the DC app
I'm
at some
gonna
point.
do it. I'm
Okay.
gonna do it.
Heck yeah, man! It's only like $7 a month too.
I'm sure,
And
yeah.
for the amount of content that's on there now, it's
Mhm.
totally worth it. And whenever something is about to come out, they like rev up that character. So they're dropping a bunch of Shazam stuff on there now because that movie's coming out in the next month.
Okay.
So like a bunch of new Shazam animated movies came to the app, and the 70s live action show is now on the app, which is really bad. I watched an episode of it last night, and like it's not even like enjoyable in like a campy way.
Yeah, man, animation changed from like the whole rotoscope to like the
Ugh.
60s and 70s.
Well, this is live action. The
Oh, live
Shazam,
action?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. There is some animated stuff in it though. Like they show the Wizard Shazam is animated along with like Achilles and Zeus and
Okay.
yeah. Don't check it out. It's not that great. Okay, so enough about DC. Let's
Yeah.
shelve that for an episode. We're blowing Marvel this time. All right, you want to start off with your first one here?
All right, let's see what my first one is going to be
Okay.
here. I'll start with Sable International.
Sable International.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna follow the story of Silver Sable. I did this because of the video game that came out last
The
year.
PS4?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was pretty badass in the game.
She's a cool character.
And it was just with that. I would love to have it be shot kind of like the way they shoot Arrow, with like flashbacks and everything.
Yeah.
From when like she with things with her mother. Her mother was killed and died in her arms and everything. Her father started the Sable International. They did contracts and everything, and for they would just catch criminals and crime lords and everything and all that.
Now she's like a anti-hero or something, right? Like she's
Not
not
really.
like fully like good, but she's not fully like bad either, right?
She's
More
a
like
mercenary.
Catwoman. Okay.
She's a mercenary.
Okay.
So but you don't really hear her doing too much on the bad side of the mercenary side.
Okay.
You know, it's just
The mercenary with a heart of gold.
basically, not like, you know, the merc with the mouth type
Right.
of thing. Like,
Yeah.
he'll kill anybody.
You're right. She's
But-
still a murderer.
Well, yeah, yeah. But she's from a part of Russia that is, it's not really one of the best parts. It is one of like the ghetto parts.
Sure.
And they kind of build it up with the Sable International. To the point she kind of became like the leader of it eventually.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So with Sable International, that kind of leads into like she had this whole this force called the Wild Cards.
Yeah.
And
So she would already
or the Wild
be,
Pack. The Wild Pack
There we
is what
go.
they're called.
She would already be established at the beginning of your show.
So she'll already be established, but
Okay.
then you're going back into little flashbacks. And the person that I would like to use as young Silver Sable, her name is Chloe Grace Mortez.
Okay.
She's from Kick-Ass. She played Hit Girl.
Hit Girl Sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's pretty badass.
She is
to be
good,
honest.
and
So-
like I'm surprised that she hasn't been in more stuff since that.
No,
So,
she's
good
gonna
pull.
she's gonna be in this new movie where it's a crazy movie. Mom has her in a wheelchair, have her faking illnesses and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it looks pretty crazy, but she just from those two performances alone, she needs to be put in another action flick.
Yeah, bring it.
And the older version of her name is Chrissy Ann Lopez. She played the Pink Power Ranger in Ninja Steel, and she's like, she just had a baby, and so
All right.
she Karen sent me this whole like this reel on Instagram that she has of her like training. She looks pretty badass. And
Heck yeah.
she's
Okay.
pretty awesome in Power Rangers. My kids watch Ninja Steel. They love
Wow.
Power Rangers.
Nice.
And I
nice,
got-
raising them right.
Yeah, and yeah, they love Tommy Oliver, which that's a personal big win for me. It's like you just love the Green and White Ranger.
There we go.
That's
Yes.
it's everything for me right now.
Yes, you'll appreciate this, man. I had a Tommy VHS where he's like teaching you karate
Oh,
thing
dude.
growing up, and so like all the kids are like, "Yes, sensei," and I'm like,
That's awesome because
Yeah,
I
it's
had
pretty neat.
the original VHS of the first big movie, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, and
Right.
at the very end of it is when he's advertising that very VHS.
Oh, that's hilarious.
it's pretty
Okay.
awesome.
The '90s.
But in the directors, Mark Guggenheim and
Oh, nice.
Andrew
Yeah.
Kreisberg.
Kreisberg. Oh, I love Andrew Kreisberg. Very jealous that you pulled him
Yeah.
on. He is excellent.
Because they're the ones that directed Arrow.
Yes, Kreisberg
So-
is really responsible for what we know for the Flash show too.
It would make sense for them to do those type
Totally.
of things. And
That'd be a big coup to pull them away from
it would be.
DC TV
It would
to Marvel TV. It'd be
But
like
you
getting
know-
Jeff Loeb to do a
Yeah.
a DC show.
But, you know, it's just one of those things like
No,
it's
listen,
all like fan theory.
you got
But
you
it
got
would
the
be so
you got the
awesome.
mouse money, you know. So who knows what could happen?
It-
I would put that against Time Warner money.
Yeah, easy because those
It's the
two, what
mouse.
they do with Arrow and what they do with it's great.
I'm really good at a Mickey voice.
Do that again.
Oh boy!
Well, that's great.
Hi, kids. Our producer,
He's cracking
our
up right now.
producer's dying here.
That was amazing.
Thanks, man. My kid is all about some Mickey. Practically all day we have Mickey Mouse Clubhouse going on. So
They told me.
yeah,
Karen told me.
yeah,
It was
like
like,
practically all
you
day.
guys have like this big inflatable for Christmas.
Oh yeah, we had a Mickey inflatable in our front yard because my parents are kind of rednecks and they gave us that to put up. So
Just put big
thanks,
things in
guys.
front
It's
of
like,
you.
hey, here's a chore for you to do some Saturday. Sweet, appreciate it.
It's not gonna
all right.
take 5 minutes.
Let's reel it back in. Here.
But sorry, but you know, it's gonna the whole thing's gonna lead into various cases that she's contracted with the company. You know, with Black Fox being one of her one of the he's gonna be older. Trying to think of it was hard trying to think of like people that you know would actually be the villains, you know, or just be in the Wild Pack. There's Black Fox, who was one of the people that she was chasing around. I want to add Black Cat into that
Cool.
as well.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, so if you add Black Cat in there, it's not necessarily Spider-Man, but it's in that universe.
No,
and
totally.
you have those type of things being thrown out there.
Well, that's what
because-
Sony was wanting to do.
Mhm.
That black and silver movie they announced that will
Mhm.
never happen.
That would be so.
Was a Black Cat and Silver Sable team
That
up
would
movie.
be so dope.
Yeah,
Because
it
just,
won't ever happen though.
I know, just playing the video
Sony's
game
a hot
though.
mess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
at
took
least
them a
live
while.
action.
It took them a while to actually get Spider-Man onto the MCU for
Yeah.
a minute.
I feel like
It's a
Sony is going to
fight.
stick to the animated stuff now because of Spider-Verse being so well received, and they have talked about copyrighting that animation style. So
Mhm.
hopefully they're just going to crank those out. I will watch as many of those movies as they want to make.
Well, I mean, that was just perfect.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It was just amazing. But there's going to be Black Fox, Black Cat, the Wild Pack, obviously, because that's one of the things that she worked on. And it's kind of, Wild Pack was kind of like a it's one of those groups that in comic book where they get a bunch of villains together and just put them in one big group to
Mhm.
do all those things. But just like the Suicide Squad,
Okay.
but it's just Marvel's idea of the Suicide Squad, but didn't get big because I guess they don't really care too much about those type of things in
Right,
Marvel.
but let's do that in a TV show. Then.
Yeah,
that sounds.
It would
that
be
sounds
so
perfect.
dope, and I'll try not to make something like this too bloated. And the shows that I have are try not to make bloated
Mhm.
because that's kind of a thing that obviously you don't want in movies, but I guess with shows nowadays, especially with DC, they're
Yeah.
throwing a bunch of like crossovers, and that's what they try to do with the Marvel,
Right.
with the Defenders,
Mhm.
and it just didn't work out that well.
Yeah, I think what their problem was that like when the Avengers came together, there was each character had like a distinctive flavor to it, right?
Mhm.
Like your Hulk is very different than like a Captain America movie.
Right.
Captain America movie is very different than an Iron Man movie, and Thor is completely its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Netflix Marvel stuff was kind of all the same vein, all like the kind of dark and gritty stuff without anything to kind of mix it up with.
It's kind of where they're from, Hell's
Yeah.
Kitchen, and it being like really dirty, grimy, gritty.
Yeah.
They had to make all of it the same. But the thing was, when they had Iron Fist, it was just Iron Fist kind of had like this. Even if you read it, it's a completely different feel than a Luke Cage, to me at least, than a Luke Cage or a Daredevil.
Sure.
It's the rich kid,
Yeah.
coming back after
Your classic
years,
trope of
it's the Batman
rich white
story.
guy goes to Asia, comes back as a martial art. It's the Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
It's Batman.
Green Arrow.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Green Arrow. That was basically the story,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's basically the story of Green Arrow, but in a different sense. But
Mhm.
it's a great story if it's done right, and I feel like it just wasn't done right.
Yeah.
They didn't push a lot of the action out there. It's when I watched Marvel Live, they did a better job with Iron Fist.
Oh, that's sad. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
They did a way better job with Iron Fist than the Netflix series did, in my opinion. I know it's like,
Wow, that sucks.
sorry, that's
it's
kind of a big proclamation there,
right,
but
spitting truth. But no, I think I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. The one I enjoyed the most of those was the Jessica Jones series. I really
That was
like the
really
kind
good.
of noir detective-y side.
yeah,
Yeah,
man,
right.
so
with a
good.
female lead. That's great.
If they would have done it right, it would have that whole thing could have led into like Civil War, but that would have been too much like the comics. You can't do too much
And
like the comics.
the Marvel TV people have
hate-
beef with the
they hate each
Marvel
other.
movie people.
Oh,
yeah.
they hate each other.
Yeah, it sucks.
All right. Well, that would be it for my first one.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
that was a little bit shorter. I had less on that one than I have on the other two. And we can go.
All right. So my first one is one that I think is pretty obvious. There are two types of shows that will always be on TV.
Right.
Cop shows
Mhm.
and lawyer shows.
Yeah.
So my first show is a She-Hulk show.
Ah.
Yeah. So it's part lawyer show.
I like that.
It's part vigilante. I would double cast it just like the 70s show
Mhm.
did. I would get one actress to be, her when she's not hulking out, and then some massive female bodybuilder to be actual She-Hulk.
I feel like that can be done right.
Yeah,
This
I
time
agree.
around. Like,
Yeah.
You don't really have to use CGI. You can do like
Yeah,
a
I mean,
nice
just
little
for the
turn of the
transformation thing, and then
Mhm.
just make her green, and like there are some like, and She-Hulk is different than Hulk in that she's not like, Hulk is unpossibly big,
Yes.
right?
Like you really have to do something.
Right.
Lou Ferrigno really wasn't enough. for
Maybe
that
like
character.
China in her prime could have been like She-Hulk or something, right?
I
Like
agree with
that's attainable. So for Jennifer Walters, for her, non-She-Hulk form, I really like the actress, and I might mispronounce this last name again, but Cara Delvigny. She was in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. She's the girl in Valerian.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just really like that actress. I think she should be in more
Right.
stuff. So she kind of has that look where you can see her like owning a courtroom and stuff as well.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
And I mean, this is perfect for a serialized TV format because it's a lawyer show that happens to have a big green strong lady in it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really it. It's just a She-Hulk.
Yeah. There's really like I don't see any wrong with that
No.
one. I don't see any where you can go wrong with an idea like that. It's just a matter of how it be if it was well received by the people, But
Yeah.
it's really easy to to execute something like that. Especially you can do like a whole homage to the old Hulk type of thing with that double
Exactly.
casting.
Exactly.
So it's like it's not necessarily that. It's 2019.
Yeah. Get Lou Ferrigno to
2022.
guest in an episode. Maybe he's a judge.
Why not?
I would love that.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Right?
People would get that.
Yeah, totally.
All
Okay.
right. So my second one, I'm gonna go with the Black Knight.
Okay. I'm unfamiliar with this character.
The Black Knight. He was basically around the time where they didn't really want to create too many characters. The person that created him, he didn't really care too much. I keep forgetting to write all the creators' names down here, but he didn't really care too much for the character. Not saying that he hated it, but it was just like around time they didn't want to create more characters for the Avengers. So he was a reoccurring Avenger.
Okay.
There's 3 Black Knights.
Okay.
2 of which are good and 1 that is bad. It starts back in the time of Camelot. So we're gonna throw some King Arthur out
Yeah.
there, Round Table, Merlin.
Tis but a flesh wound.
Mhm.
That Black Knight.
Yes. So it starts with Sir Percy of Scandia.
Okay.
He is the first Black Knight, and he was given the sword, the ebony sword or the ebony blade by Merlin. It was enchanted by
Nice.
him.
Okay.
But it was enchanted yet cursed at the same time because the very first person to wield that sword was just a warrior, and the whole drawback of that sword is that if it touches blood or if it's drawn blood, it will drive the wielder like closer to insanity.
Okay.
So you'll
Yikes.
will feel the bloodlust. But a good thing about that sword is that it doesn't hurt its wielder. So if somebody decided to take it from you and then try to like stab you with
Oh,
it,
neat.
you can't do anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you kill somebody with it, you will, you'll feel it. You will become an insane, crazy person.
Eesh.
And so it starts with
That's
Sir
a good
Percy.
setup for a show, though. I would
Right?
say, like, he cuts someone in one episode, and then like later on down the
Exactly.
line, you see the de-evolution of this person's sanity.
So it's like you start with Percy or Sir Percy, who is the first one, who I would have Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Okay.
He is Jaime Lannister.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I'll have him as the first one.
That's a good pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just kind of he already has experience with the old medieval,
Right.
with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And so you can,
We know he looks good in armor and on a horse.
And his biggest foe was Mordred, which is King Arthur's brother, and he would try to figure out all of the treachery that he's done. He was like really always hit butts with him. And after the fall of the Camelot, Mordred decided to go and when he was like wounded after the whole big battle, he decided to send off people to go kill him. Well, they wound up killing Percy. So you have that particular aspect. It's going to be kind of like a time travel type of thing going back and forth. The second Black Knight, Nathan Garrett, who I would throw Kristen Bell out there as Nathan Garrett, because it's going to be a little bit of a change. Because this guy, he was deemed the unworthy. All the people that are Black Knights are actually descendants of Sir Percy.
Oh, okay.
So
It's kind of like the Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Just
Neat.
like that. So with
Is
that,
this the one that becomes a villain?
mm-hmm.
All right.
Because he's not worthy of it.
Cool.
He you have to live in Garrett Castle, which he inherits.
Okay.
Because his last name is Garrett.
Sure.
And it's just properly named that. He actually has become a communist spy for the People's Republic of China. So this is around that time. But if we wanted to, we could make it a lot more modern, you know. Or we could just keep him in that time period because Dane Whitman, who's the third one, he's actually, you know, he's the nephew of Nathan Garrett. So he's a descendant. He's also like the only living relative of Garrett. But, you know, I say he was a communist spy. He sold American secrets to China, science secrets, until he was stopped by Hank Pym.
Nice.
Who he's always had these big issues. So with Nathan Garrett, I felt like that can be more of... The story is not going to be about Nathan Garrett or Sir Percy. It's going to be about Dane Whitman.
Okay.
It's going to be about Dane. Because he is, in fact, the last person, you know, and there's a lot more that goes on. So when Nathan Garrett becomes the Black Knight, it's because he can't really get the sword because you have to be able to take out the scabbard, just like
Sword in the Stone or something.
Exactly.
Okay. He
Exactly
who is
like that.
worthy can. It's Thor's hammer as well. And
Exactly, but with this whole thing, it's more of a family thing, not really a you.
Right.
You have to be worthy in general. You have to be a part of the bloodline.
Yes.
And you have to be deemed worthy by the spirit.
I like that, man. It's kind of like the Tudors, but in tights.
Exactly.
Or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because with Sir Percy, I didn't say this, but after he was killed, Merlin had enchanted his spirit. So at this point, he comes back as like a specter, and he will charge people with the duty of being the Black Knight. And when he did that with Nathan Garrett, didn't work out. So he, as you see, he's a scientist as well, and he starts creating a bunch of things to become the Black Knight. He becomes an evil Black Knight. Just doing things his own personal gain and everything. He's always had run-ins. He's gonna have run-ins with the Avengers.
Okay.
He's gonna have, but it's not gonna really be on screen. Obviously,
Sure.
It's gonna be more talked about. The reason why I want to add him into this because this is gonna set up Dane Whitman getting the being charged with the duty of being a more heroic Black Knight because Nathan Garrett actually gets in a fight with Iron Man after various times of fighting and getting beaten. He's about to beat Iron Man, where he's going to take him, beats him down in his suit, breaks it down, takes him into the sky, and he's about to like throw him from like the heights of the atmosphere.
Drop him.
And Iron Man was able to fight him, knock him off of his horse because Black Knight has a horse
That
with
can
wings.
fly? Okay.
Has wings.
Okay.
He basically has a
Alright.
Pegasus.
It's a lot of your budget.
Oh, dude.
Getting that horse to fly.
But the thing is, you don't really have. I feel like you're not gonna add. I'm not gonna add that into the story
Okay.
too soon, because
That feels like something you need to like slowly get the audience into. The
yeah.
same way that Game of Thrones wasn't just like dragons.
yeah.
like,
It's like, wait
you
a
gotta-
minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You know, there's dragons in here.
Right. It's in
but
that same world, but we just gotta
Let's just build that
tease
up.
it.
We're gonna
Mhm.
give you smaller dragons, and then we're gonna give you bigger dragons.
Fair
Don't
enough.
wait. Just
Right.
wait, little baby. Wait. Calm down. But he actually gets a better horse, but that's like he gets a horse from an enchantress later down, and that's Dane Whitman, and it's going to be on his deathbed because after Nathan Garrett fights the Iron Man, he gets hurt in the process and falls from the same heights that he was trying to throw Iron Man off of. So
Okay.
this is going to be a big story.
So let me ask you this: do you like recast every season? Like you do, like one season is like the first guy, and then like he dies, and then the second one you have like his descendant or whatever.
I think what I would do with this story, because Dane Whitman is going to be played by Egert Taryn
Okay.
from the Kingsman.
Yeah.
And
Man, we name drop him a lot.
yeah,
here.
he's good though.
He is good.
And it's
Except for that Robin Hood movie I hear. That was him?
I
wasn't
yeah,
it?
I feel like
Yeah.
that was kind of a misplaced thing. I don't know why they had Jamie Foxx in there.
Dude, here's the
sounding like
thing.
he's from New York. It was weird.
Here's the thing, and just a quick tangent. If you're going to do any story like Robin Hood or
Mhm.
Tarzan or King Arthur in a live-action movie now, you need a damn good reason to do that. So, like,
That is true.
I need something different, right? Not just Robin Hood in a modern context, because that's also been done before.
Right.
I heard someone was talking, I think it was Mark Menardin again, but when that last Tarzan movie came out, he was saying the way you make this interesting in 2017 or whenever it came out is, what if Jane is actually African? And then, like, boom, that totally changes that movie, right?
Yeah, just change up the source material to a certain extent.
Yeah,
and
just
then
change
you have people
something to... Because we have all seen King Arthur 1,000 times. We've all seen Robin Hood 1,000 times.
We've seen Spider-Man so many times.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you kind of a Mary Jane, but not really Mary Jane. We can give it to you.
Don't get me started on Zendaya. I love her as an actress, but like I just feel like she was just given crap to work with. That really pissed me off at the end.
If you were going to throw that character out there, make the character who it is, and give Mary Jane a little bit more. I'm not a big fan of the character, but they could have given her a lot more than just this angsty teen that was just in the background saying really,
right,
quips.
And she's like a social outcast, right?
Yeah.
In which, to me, Mary Jane was like the popular school, the
it girl,
popular girl, right?
Yeah.
That Peter has no shot with. Not this kind of grungy debate team.
He still has no
nerd.
shot with this grungy debate team nerd,
maybe, yeah,
honestly, because she was like always. I guess there was always that whole little connection that they tried to throw out there. It's like, oh, does she like him towards the end?
Right. Yeah, they'll tease it, but I don't know. Not a fan. Anyways.
But on his deathbed, Nathan Garrett, he contacts his only living relative, which is Dane Whitman, and he tells him about everything he's done, and he gives him everything, all of his tech and everything. He just tells him, "You're going to be the Black Knight now. Go and run with it." And with that, he's going to start by trying to become the Black Knight without the actual powers, because he doesn't even meet Percy yet.
Okay.
He's going off of Garrett's tech.
Okay.
So at this point, he hasn't really
So he's
been
just
to
a guy
Garrett
in
Castle.
armor.
He hasn't been to Garrett Castle. He
Okay.
is just a man in the armor. Because Black Knight has the ebony blade. Garrett had a lance because he was not worthy. So at this point, he kind of has a lance.
Interesting.
So later on, he's going to go.
So
Whitman
he
is going
becomes
to,
worthy as the Black Knight and is able to get.
So when he actually meets,
that's your
Percy,
finale.
Yeah. And that's going to be finale I feel like for one season, because
maybe
at
like
this
season
point,
2 or 3.
Yeah, because he then it goes into Blood Wraith, which is a squire that Dan Whitman, because this is going to be
Squire is, of course, that's like his sidekick.
Yes, basically.
Nice.
So his name is Sean Dolan, who becomes the Blood Wraith because he touches the sword. Yeah. And the reason why Dan Whitman doesn't use a sword as much, because he did use a sword. But if you use the sword and you, like I said earlier, if you draw blood on the sword, it is definitely going to cause him to go insane. And so he had to basically cast it away.
The wielder of the sword or the person who was cut?
The wielder.
Okay.
So the wielder.
Interesting.
Because remember, the sword is from a barbarian time.
Right.
Camelot is not really barbarian,
well,
but a lot of war, a lot of like using swords. And so the person that was first, had his enchanted sword, but it was cursed because blood was drenched on all the time. And so he had to throw it away. Blood Wraith is using it now, who that can be one of his villains, because it was a friend and then becomes a foe. And you have that whole thing. It is I feel like this would be a really good storyline.
Yeah.
You have
Who's got notes if you can't hear?
You can have Guy Ritchie, Brian Singer.
Dude, Guy Ritchie would own this.
Yeah, with the Sherlock movies.
Right, that's a good call. And didn't he make one of those Arthur movies?
Yes,
the sword,
King Arthur.
Right.
Legend of the Sword.
There we go.
Got my notes, man.
Never.
Got my notes. Brian Singer with the 1 and 2 X-Men, Days of Futures Past, and Apocalypse.
Ken's giving us a thumbs down with Brian Singer there.
Really?
Just hide your underage, well, not underage, but hide your young boy actors.
I forgot about that. Let me scratch that off.
Okay, right.
Totally forgot about that.
No abusers.
No, we're not going to do that.
Well, Kevin Spacey, I'm casting as Bill Cosby's going to be the villain.
There's like so many people that is hit that I didn't even realize that got like... I didn't even know that even touched it. I,
know,
didn't even know that.
Yeah, the guy that played Iceman in the original X-Men movies from Singer, Bobby Drake, has kind of come out and said that stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to scratch him off. I didn't
There
even
we
know
go.
that was the thing. Because there's so many names that get dropped now.
Yeah, true. Right, they get Me Too'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag time's up, man. Time's up. So,
All right.
not going to do that one.
Black Knight. I like that one.
Thanks,
I like
man.
that. All right. So my second one, and I toyed with this one being animated. This character's already been in the movie, but she hasn't had her own series, and I'm going with a Spider-Gwen show.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think there are certain characters that work better in a serialized format than a movie, and I think Spider-Man is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because of how rich Spider-Man's supporting cast of characters are.
It's ridiculous.
It's so deep, and
Everybody has
you
a backstory.
can't do all that in a movie. There's no time to, show how like great of a character that Betty Brant is. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same with Spider-Gwen. So if you're not familiar, this is like an alternate reality where Gwen Stacy is bitten by the spider instead of Peter, and she becomes Spider-Woman to her universe. Peter kind of becomes jealous of that and wants a way for him to be special, and he creates the lizard serum and turns himself into the lizard, and it kills him. So for Gwen Stacy of this universe, Peter is her Uncle Ben.
Yes.
So you also have Captain Stacy is, Captain Stacy of the police force. So there is this kind of cool dichotomy of her having to hide who she really is from her own father. Eventually in the comics, he finds out and accepts her and everything. But that's a great storyline for a show.
It's funny how like comic books always have that cop that's always there.
Right, that's part of the family. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I guess it's good to have like kind of a foot in legal crime fighting and then like 1 foot in
Those characters can be super annoying though.
True.
Quentin, Lance.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
The whole Lance family, except for Sarah. Sarah was awesome.
Yeah.
Sarah was dope.
Yeah.
Not at first though.
No. Right.
Not at first though.
No, the way that show did Black Canary was very odd.
I hated it so much.
But what I like most about Spider-Gwen is the kind of like punk rock attitude that
Exactly.
the book holds. And I would want that to carry over into the show.
Like she's a
drummer.
She's a drummer in Mary Jane's band.
Well, the name of the band is the Mary Janes, and the lead singer is MJ, but her name is spelled EM space JAY.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of little twists and stuff, right? Like Captain America is a woman in this as well.
I could see that.
Frank Castle is a really shady police officer that is suspicious of Captain Stacy and his daughter, and is like constantly trying to like pin her as Spider-Woman.
Just kind of like a Jonah J. Jameson type of.
Yeah, but like way darker, and like who can like, the Punisher is a scary guy anyways. So when he's a villain, practically, it's even more terrifying. So to get that punk rock attitude, I would want to get Jeremy Saulene. He did a movie called The Green Room, and he did True Detective, season 3, I think, a few episodes, and he did a movie called Hold the Dark as well.
Okay.
So he can kind of pull together this like neon punk rock kind of attitude. And yeah, I would want to see this drawn out over a course of time and actually get to see her grow as Spider-Woman, and like she gets, some shitty part-time job like any teenager does, and then she also has to go and like fight crime, and it's all right there. And you could do a crossover thing with Miles Morales.
That's exactly what I was about to ask.
Yeah, you could bring in a guest Miles Morales live action.
This guy over here,
our producer. Yeah, Ken will be happy to hear that. The version I was toying with this being an animated one, was something I was calling the Spider-Verse Hour, which would be 15-minute shorts in the animation style of the Spider-Verse, with one's a Gwen Stacy, one's a Spider-Man Noir, one's the girl mech spider,
yeah, I know exactly.
and then one Spider-Ham.
You are like in my head.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the thing that I was thinking. Because I
Really?
was like, you don't want to do too much with the Spider-Verse.
No.
Give them like little shorts.
Well, and cartoons are heading towards a 15-minute format. I don't know
That's
if you've
true.
noticed.
No,
that
I've noticed.
Some new ones
I think
are trying to do that.
You remember Adult Swim used to do that all the time.
Right.
Give you like shows like Robot Chicken that
Mhm.
are like 15 minutes, not even like a full 30 minutes, but it's
Justice
enough to,
League
like,
Action is like that now. It
Is
drops
it?
you right in the middle of things going. That's why it's called Justice League Action.
Okay.
It's basically kind of like your cold opens to Bond movies
Mhm.
where you're just thrown right in the middle of stuff happening. That's what Justice League
I
Action
feel
is
like,
like.
have you heard of Ruby?
Mm-mm.
It's a Rooster Teeth. You know what Rooster Teeth is, right? They
Mm-mm.
did Red versus Blue, those things. So that's
Okay, yeah, my
and-
wife loves that show.
Yeah, and they started a thing called Ruby. It's a cartoon, and it's just like computer generated. It's
Mhm.
dope. It started with like what 9-minute episodes,
Yeah.
9 to 15-minute
Okay.
episodes.
That's kind of like the
And
Superman
then-
shows that we watch for
Yeah.
classic cartoon.
and with
Rewind.
that, with the
Are about
Superman
that length.
cartoons, it just throws so much in there
Yeah.
to the point where you feel
They're
satisfied. at the
mini
very end.
movies.
You feel so
Totally.
satisfied at the end of watching all of
Yeah.
them, and that's exactly how that was, and that's how I feel like kind of started the whole cartoon thing. Just a bunch of shows
Okay.
like Karen, or my daughter, she watches Uncle Grandpa,
Okay.
and that show is wild.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but it's 15 minutes, real
Okay.
short, or
Right.
12 to 15 minutes, real short.
Okay.
And it's just like, I guess my daughter feels super satisfied after
Right.
watching it because she's just like, I want to watch more Uncle Grandpa. I'm like, okay,
Um,
this show's weird.
it is weird.
It's
It is real
just,
weird.
like,
But we had weird shows in our day too, like
Yeah.
Rocko's Modern Life and
That
Ren
was
Stimpy. And,
that was a wild show,
Yeah.
bro.
So to me, really, the capturing that punk rock feel is the most important part of
Yes.
the show, which was why I was toying with it being animated because so
I can
much
see
of
what you're
that
talking
is
about
the
on that.
lighting and the
Yeah.
colors. But if you see that movie Green Room, he captures that kind of neon punk
Mhm.
style in the same way that maybe like Riverdale looks kind of like neon but like dark.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's the same kind of feel I would want for maybe a little bit brighter than Riverdale, but
It is Marvel, so
yeah,
you want to give
and
them like some nice
Gwen
colors.
Stacy's she's a fun character, and this book is great. I love the run of Spider-Gwen, and just a live action show I think would kill
such
it.
a big run.
I can't believe how fast that character became popular.
Because it wasn't the Gwen Stacy that everybody knew.
No,
But it was
she
just the
like,
fact that they just gave Gwen Stacy a name and
Mhm.
gave her a lot more.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a big Gwen Stacy fan myself.
Me too.
Over a Mary Jane fan.
right, and we talked about that on our Valentine's episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was the thing, is like, it was so awesome for them to do that. I remember when it came out, when it launched, and I went and tried to get like a copy, and
I have the first issue around. There we go. That's the first appearance.
I
right
could
there.
not get any of that. It was like
Yeah.
already sold out within like the first
Right.
few hours that it dropped.
That
in the
Spider-Verse
store.
stuff spawned a bunch of different, new characters.
Such a great event.
It was. It was a great idea. I'm glad they changed the villain for the movie.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Right.
We talked
yeah.
about that.
But yeah, she's already in an animated movie, so I don't think there's any hesitation. Obviously, the character works. People like her.
Yeah.
An insane amount actually. So just give her her own live action show
It's like,
once
why
the Disney
not?
app. Yeah. And again, that like high school serialized format I think works better in a TV show.
That never gets old with people.
No,
It
yeah,
will never
true.
get old. The high school life will never
Right.
get old. The Veronica Mars
Yeah.
and OCs and all that. That will
Heck, Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Right.
Just kids going through stuff.
Sierra Burgess is a loser. Did you ever see that movie on Netflix? It's
I-
basically Cyrano de Bergerac, but like reimagined for.
I think so.
It's pretty good. Yeah, like you're saying, that's going to be up there with your cop shows and your lawyer shows that are always on TV, right?
Just
A
like
high school
the
show.
She-Hulk
Yep.
thing as well. Because those things never get old.
Now, dude. All right, what is your third show?
All right. So we're going to go with the life and times of Lucas Bishop. It's going to be...
Bishop.
I feel like it would be directed well by Ryan Coogler, director
Okay.
of Black Panther.
Yeah.
Or the Russo brothers.
Sure.
Like, you can throw Russo brothers on anything, and it's just going to be really
I feel
good.
like those guys are so hard to get right now.
Yeah.
But like,
this would be impossible to get them
yeah.
to do it.
Well, Russo
but,
brothers, I think you can maybe with the right pitch, you could get Ryan Coogler.
the life and times of Lucas Bishop is not going to be the Bishop that, like from the 1990s.
Oh, so this isn't.
This
Is this
is
a time travel show?
Well, it's going to be a time travel.
Okay.
But it's going to talk about more of his life beforehand.
Before he goes back into the past.
Yeah, so that's a very irreversible thing when he goes into the
Sure.
future. So he can't go back.
Okay.
Because the villain Fitzroy created a portal from their time, the villains in their time. Now this is around the time of 21st century AD.
Okay.
So this is the Days of Future's past reality.
Right. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Where it's the X-Men are dead,
Mhm.
basically, right?
So
it's
he
kind of
grew
like The Gifted, but like further on.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he grows up in it's a war-stricken, crazy future where it's a big war between mutants and humans.
Mhm.
Mutants are losing. He has the M on his face because he was branded.
Right.
And that's how they can tell. It basically starts with him and his sister Shard. I would say if I were to, I couldn't pinpoint like a younger person. Obviously,
Mhm.
a lot of these things will have like younger versions of themselves. But
Ooh, I think I have one. Keep going. Let me look at this. I'm trying. I can't remember his name right now.
But also, like with the like Silver Sable, I want to do like a flashback type of thing.
John Boyega.
John Boyega, yeah, I
Finn
could see
Finn
that.
from Star Wars.
Yeah,
That
I
guy
could
needs
see
more
that.
stuff. I could see him in like a dark future.
Yeah,
like,
what was
becoming the bishop that we know?
that movie he was in?
Like
with-
Attack the Block or something.
Yes,
Yes.
that was the one with the aliens, wasn't it?
Yes, where you're right. Where the aliens come and him and his friends are.
So yeah,
defending
he
their
would do
neighborhood.
great in that. I was like older versions. I mean, let's get Idris Elba,
Yeah.
because just throw his name out there,
Mhm.
and my boy Michael Jai White
Okay.
as an older bishop. But this is going to be a more background story, like a more of an origin, because beforehand they didn't give too much of a background story. And he's really one of the more complex characters because he actually, with this story, he has actually have a good relationship with his father, and they lived in the mutant ghettos, and he was led to believe that his whole family was killed, and so he had to escape that. And this is the worst part of where he lives in. And this is in North America, obviously. So he wound up having to leave North America, and where he finds his grandmother and his sister Shard.
Mm-hmm.
It may be in North America or out of North America. I may be wrong, but he finds his grandmother and he finds his sister.
Cool.
And they both are raised by her, and they were raised to kind of follow the lead of the X-Men, the
teachings of Professor Xavier.
Yeah, just more or less like the way you live your life and look
Sure.
up to them because they were great, and so
Mhm.
he always looked up to the X-Men. That there's also a rumor that his grandmother is Storm,
Interesting.
because
Who's older at this time, or
Mhm.
who has time traveled?
this older version. So
Okay.
whenever you see like pictures of his mother or his grandmother, she's like has huge white hair, and you can say that's due to her being old, but that's just like
That's a Storm
Yeah.
trope.
So we could easily kind of throw that out there.
Sure.
And if it hasn't been confirmed, but if they did that in this, they can confirm that was actually it. But he after his grandmother dies, he trains him and his sister, and they join the Xavier Security Enforcers.
Mm.
And that's where he becomes one of the best enforcers, one of the best soldiers. You have the whole Cable feel.
Right.
And,
his powers are kind of similar, aren't they? Like,
His powers, he can take any energy that is used on him,
Mhm.
and he can use it to his own ability. So he has that gun.
right.
In Days of Future Past, he took the energy.
So that gun harnesses that.
So it's kind of like a medium form.
Okay, cool.
And his eyes turn red whenever he uses
Sweet.
power. It's going to be kind of like, I guess it would be coming of age. Would it be
Mhm.
coming of age?
Yeah.
So
The end of your show is when he goes back in time. Like, that's your last scene, is when he
And
goes
then
back to the X-Men.
So you're having to go all the way up until that point.
Right.
You might want to be able to go a little bit further after that, but you want to know about him.
Yeah.
You want to know about Bishop because Bishop, he meets up with the Witness who he has to work for, and that's going to be his connection to the X-Men.
Okay.
Because the Witness is actually Gambit.
What?
He's
an old Gambit.
An old Gambit.
Cool.
And
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how he that's not how he goes into the future, but that's his connection.
Okay.
Him having to work for him, and he was contracted by him, and then is when he was fighting Fitzroy, but I think it was like before he actually became a worker for the Witness. His sister Shard, who I would either have Zoe Kravitz play her, Thandie Newton.
Zoe Kravitz,
I love Zoe Kravitz so
Yeah.
much. She's just amazing. The whole family's great, man.
Yeah.
Lisa Bonet, Kenny, Lenny, just ridiculous. But Bianca Lawson, she's one of those never aging actresses that they have play various teenagers. She was in she played a Slayer in Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in the day.
Oh, wow.
She looks no older. She looks
Excellent.
the same age.
Right.
Or Paula Patton.
Okay.
Because I like Paula Patton. But she plays her sister. She gets attacked and she gets brainwashed into fighting him or turning against Bishop. And so after he gets her back, she's like in this coma of some sorts. And this is all like brief, little history, but that's going to be shown too, where the struggles having to get her back, but then they basically turned into a hologram to which he had to promise something, and then that is when he had to work for the Witness, which is Gambit. And then when he has to fight Fitzroy, who can create portals, he creates a portal to the future.
Okay.
And he can't get back. He can't
like
get back
past Bishop's future, right?
Well, yeah, past.
Okay.
So I say future. He's going to the past. So he can no longer go back to 21st AD.
He's stuck once he comes back.
So
okay.
then this is when he becomes a part of the X-Men.
As we know it, and then that's all Days of Future Past.
And then you don't really even have to throw the X-Men out there for real. If you don't
I think if
want
you do
to.
little teasers,
Do
and
little
like
teasers.
Easter egg stuff, like you were saying,
because he
is
fights
good fan
them.
service while still developing a new character.
And you can throw some people out there. I guess if they can get somebody to do like a little Nightcrawler or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe what's a
Jubilee.
young X-Men? I was just about to go
Throw, like, a
Jubilee
Jubilee
is
out
old
there.
by this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you could just throw little Easter eggs of X-Men out there, so it's an X-Men storyline or it's an X-Men universe. But that's my idea for a Bishop show.
Dude, that's my favorite one of yours so far.
Really?
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I could just really easily see that. Just like a post-apocalyptic mutants are on the run. It's a lot like
so
The
easy to do.
Gifted, but with like there's going to be a time travel aspect.
Exactly.
So that's cool. I like that one. Okay, my third one, and this is another pretty obvious one. It's been rumored to be one of the Netflix shows for a while, a Moon Knight show.
Oh, yeah.
So Moon Knight is probably my favorite Marvel character. Yeah, he's got his own corner here in our little studio here. I love Moon Knight. So, Mark Spector is a mercenary who dies underneath this statue of an Egyptian god.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe he's kind of like the vessel for that Egyptian god that is the god of, he watches those who travel at night, right? Mm. So that's what Mark Spector starts trying to do, is try to kind of right the wrongs of his checkered past. But he also has multiple personality disorder.
Yes.
So there's several interesting ways I think you can do that. The first way I would kind of start it off with is I think I would open the show with Mark Spector in an insane asylum. And there's a recent arc of Moon Spector, Moon Knight that does this, that starts him in an insane asylum.
It's a cool name.
Moon Spector.
That's a dope name.
And you, like the psychiatrists, are telling him that Moon Knight is just another personality that he has created, that none of this actually happened,
Like
right?
a sucker punch type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that idea.
And
It's
he
done right.
opens the window or looks out the window in his cell, and instead of seeing like New York skyline, there's pyramids and sand and stuff everywhere. And so you have to kind of figure out what's real and what's not. So I think I would start him there, and then eventually, he breaks out, and you see all the different.
Like an Inception type of deal.
Totally. There's like a personality of his that's like a millionaire. There's one that's like a cab driver. So each one could kind of have their own episode. He could bounce back and forth between them, kind of like Legion as well. I would use the Moon Knight suit that is just the mask and then a plain white suit with a tie.
I knew you would go for that one.
Yeah, I really like that one.
It's different.
Yeah, and you don't have to get like the hood and the cape and everything, because at that point he's kind of like Marvel Batman.
Yeah, and you kind of want to get away from that
Totally.
Comparison type of thing.
Totally, and I just think that that costume is dope. And what I really like about Moon Knight is that he is quoted saying that he wears all white because he wants the villains to see him coming. Like, that's how much of a badass he knows he is, right? So some casting stuff for Moon Knight. I'm going to throw out several names here, and then I'll kind of end with the ones I think are the best. Daniel Radcliffe, funny enough, was like the first name to come to mind. He's branched out more after Harry Potter stuff, that movie
that
Horns
is
and everything. I could see him doing a kind of manic, multiple personality type character.
Yeah, he kind of has that look too.
Right. He would nail it. Ben Whishaw, who is Q in the new Bond movies, in the Daniel Craig, like Skyfall.
Okay, yeah.
He'd be all right.
Yeah.
He would need to bulk up some.
Mm.
Michael C. Hall, I think, would be a great pull. He was Dexter
C. Hall.
from Dexter.
Yeah.
We already know that he can pull off like kind of crazy,
course.
but still like an anti-hero vigilante.
Yeah, they're kind of like that's throwing him back in his element.
Totally. And he hasn't been able to find as high profile of work since Dexter, so I think you could really get him.
That's the thing, man.
This last one would be a really tough get, especially after the Oscars. But Rami Malek,
Yeah.
who was in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
After winning an Oscar, his pay
Yeah,
went
I know.
up,
I know. He's going to be hard to get, but I think he would be a great Moon Knight and he looks just like Mark Spector, and we know he has the acting chops too. If you ever saw Mr. Robot,
I've seen
that's kind of a
yeah.
multiple personality type
Yeah,
story.
I have a friend that loves.
It's
that
really
show.
good. It's really good. So yeah, Moon Knight. That's another obvious one.
Yeah, I
but
knew you were gonna go that one.
Yeah,
right
no,
there. I
so
just
thanks
wanted
for
to
not doing that one.
I just wanted to know what you were gonna say because I knew it was gonna be good.
Yeah, I love that character.
Such a-
The only thing about starting him in the insane asylum is you need to use his treatment as ways to establish to the audience who Moon Knight is, because most people won't really know going into that, right? So like, you use his treatment. So the first like half is maybe like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but within set in the Marvel universe and all these kind of crazy Egyptian themes going on.
I would get this Watchmen feel from that. If, like,
I could see that.
I feel like a Watchmen feel like a
Maybe get
Rorschach
Zack Snyder.
type of thing. Yeah.
I think you could probably snag Zack Snyder for a show like this.
I feel like it because that's right up that alley.
Right.
There.
And I think he would actually be pretty good at that.
I feel
We'll
like
see.
with the whole with the way that movie looked versus what you want, yeah, that would fit perfectly.
All right. Okay, you're fourth.
I'm
show,
up for it.
sir.
All right, so I actually did 2 animated.
Okay.
This one can't. I don't see it really touching the MCU anytime soon. I feel like they would have to establish X-Men, but it's Avengers versus X-Men.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
This is gonna be a movie.
it
I
it
feel like
needs
they
to
would-
be, but I feel
right.
like if they did, they would have to do.
miniseries. Do you use the same actors then though as the Avengers guys, or like do you have to like recast because everyone's expensive?
I feel like you would have to use the same,
Yeah.
and then
The
you would-
audience would expect the same actors.
and then you would have to recast the X-Men unless you really want to keep
right,
the
and that's
X-Men
going to
in.
happen regardless
Yeah.
once they officially get folded into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So with A versus X, me and Kim talking about it, you would have to throw aspects of House of M in there.
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be like just a show because this obviously ends. It's a big event.
Oh wait, this is animated. Screw it, I was talking about. You don't have to get the actors.
No,
Yeah. Okay.
So you can basically get any type of voice actor
You
want
could
to.
get away with that then.
Yes.
With it being animated.
Exactly.
Totally. Okay.
And just having it be like either a 2-part thing or just like a big, maybe like an hour and a half,
Big
2-hour
miniseries.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to add that, like I said, add aspects of House of M where Scarlet Witch goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, changes reality, gives a lot of people the realities that they wanted.
Right.
You also have the whole thing with Spider-Man when he gets his reality back, and that whole
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, he's with Gwen Stacy. They have a kid. His uncle's still alive, and they're just walking through the park, and then he just gets approached by everybody that got all of their memories back. And so, if anybody, like the people that don't know about House of M and A versus X, is two of my favorite events in the whole entire Marvel event series. It's just they're trying to get Scarlet Witch back after she creates kind of a genocide, a mutant genocide. She says no more mutants, and then that just wipes out. Didn't really kill people, but it just wiped out their powers. And then she created a whole nother universe. So let's say, I think I said this before, Iron Man, Tony Stark, he's dating Mary Jane.
Right.
Because obviously Peter Parker's married to Gwen Stacy, which is the reality he wanted. Who else? Steve Rogers, he's just old.
Okay.
So they don't even really bother to touch him for real because
he doesn't get frozen in ice. Yeah.
He's just an old man.
He made that dance with Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have Wilson, who's a cop. You have Luke Cage, who's not bald. He has cornrows.
Word.
And he kind of runs his underground syndicate swag. Dab. And it's a great story leading up to them kind of apprehending Scarlet Witch. And then you get into A versus X, which is the Avengers and the X-Men trying to figure out what they're going to do with Scarlet Witch. So you have the Avengers who just want to put her in a cell. And you have the X-Men who feel like because she is a mutant, they're more responsible over her than her. Like since she's
this
a
is
mutant,
a problem in our world. Let's handle it our way.
And Utopia is already established at this point.
Okay.
Utopia is established, and they already split schools after Xavier disappears. So Wolverine has his school, and Scott has his school.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So Wolverine is a teacher now. Like not just like in X-Men Evolution. He's like the actual. He's
like
Xavier.
head of the school. Wow.
And so this starts like this whole big war between those who are friends and those who are not, or those who are friends and those who are family. Because there's this whole thing between Storm and Black Panther, because Namor goes crazy. This brings in the Phoenix Force.
Too, is Namor.
This brings in the Phoenix Force. This brings in what is her name? I think it's let me look it up real quick. But there's another character that they added. Her last name is Summers, and she got
one of Jean and Scott's kids.
And she gets brought to this future.
Sure. Fucking time travel in the X-Men, man.
With Cable, she trained with Cable, and it's a great story. You have more with Spider-Man. You have the whole fight between Namor and Black Panther. Because, like I said, the Phoenix Force takes over Scott, Magic, Colossus, Namor, and Emma, and it is a great battle that started that whole thing, because beforehand it was like X-Men, Avengers, they're fighting for Scarlet Witch, and they're out in space on the moon.
Yeah. And again, I think you can get away with all this stuff since it's animated. So good pull making it an animated mini series instead.
And it was just, after that, it was kind of like all of them are having to come to grips with the amount of power that they have, and so they become basic gods in this world. And they're having the Avengers. This is not only just like a big thing for Scarlet Witch. It becomes something more because they have those psychic abilities, and so now they're like, we can give you guys the world at this point with our psychic abilities alone. And now it's a we can trust these people because they haven't done anything wrong yet. And then they go crazy because that psychic power is just way too much for them. It's like way too much. And so trying to look up the character that comes back with Cable, her last name Summers, but she becomes the reason that the Phoenix Force gets destroyed, her and Scarlet Witch. So after all this fighting, after Namor sinks Wakanda.
What?
Because Emma Frost, she gets into Namor's ear, and because she's the actual psychic.
So Wakanda's not an island, though, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, so
but Namor is the king of the sea, and he
Okay.
can basically do anything.
Okay.
So that was a huge fight there, and that led into a rift between the Wakanda and Storm. And then you have a fight for what's right and what's wrong, and it's a great story, man. Have you read it?
No,
Please
not all
read
the
it.
way.
You need to finish it.
I've read parts, but yeah, no,
But
putting that as an animated made that pitch.
The director I would get, depending on the animation style, I feel like it would do well as somewhat of a CGI. You could do Brad Bird.
Heck yeah.
Did
Heck
Incredibles 2.
Dude, give him anything. I love Brad Bird.
And the directors for Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would kill it.
Yeah.
Get another Oscar just off of that alone.
Ooh, yeah. It won't be that animation style.
It won't
'Cause
be
that's
that-
copyright now.
Yeah.
But, okay. Cool. I like that one, too. All right, so for my fourth pitch here, remember in the DC show that we did, I led with the Green Lantern, Green Arrow show as like, to me, if you're going to win awards for something, this is the one you do it with. So this is my like critically acclaimed show. It's a storyline called Truth, Red, White, and Black. Have you ever heard of this?
I don't think
It's excellent. So it takes the Tuskegee experiments, if you're familiar with that,
yes.
dark side of American history.
Yes.
I'm just going to read straight here from the Wikipedia about the Tuskegee experiments. They were a infamous and unethical clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the U.S. Public Health Service. The purpose of the study was to observe the natural history of untreated syphilis in African American men. And the really shitty part about this is to get these men into the studies, the U.S. government told them that they were receiving free health care. So, like, that's super shitty. But it takes that general idea and puts it in 1942. The series follows a regiment of black soldiers who are forced to be test subjects for this program that's trying to recreate the super soldier serum, right, that made Steve Rogers. But all of the people who are being experimented on, either grow like deformities, mutations, or die, except for one named Isaiah Bradley. And he becomes this Captain America, this black in the 1940s, right?
Yes, okay, now, yeah.
And you'll see him
that
pop up
story.
every now and then in modern Marvel. Like, he gets nodded to, I think, at like the Storm and Black Panther wedding or something. Like, he's there in like a wheelchair, and people are like, that's the first. Luke Cage says that was the first me. Right? Like, he is that highly regarded within the African American community in Marvel. So to me, that just like screams live action adaptation and stuff that critics would love. And the person I would cast as Isaiah Bradley, I went with Winston Duke, who is M'Baku in Black Panther, the leader of like the mountain tribe.
Yep.
That guy was so charismatic in any scene that he came in Black Panther. Like, let's give him a series kind of set in the shady 1940s.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would
like
kill
that,
it. And
yeah.
let's get a black Captain America killing some Nazis. That sounds awesome.
Dude.
Ken's enjoying that one. Yeah. So,
And they've touched on like you had the Patriot,
mhm.
who's a young black kid, and I think there's one story I remember at the very tail end. It may have been Marvel Zombies. It might have been Marvel Zombies. The very end, it was like a future, and there was like a black Captain America, and she was a female.
Okay.
And
That's in Spider-Gwen as well. The Captain America that is a young black woman.
That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So yeah, I mean that's a simple one, but I think and that's a mini series. That one clearly has like an end.
Yeah.
But I think that would be very well received critically.
Just like the Avengers vs. X-Men, I feel like that would be a really good mini series, not like a big movie or
Yeah.
anything.
Okay, your last pitch, sir.
My last pitch, it's a very simple one,
Cool.
and I just want to see it
Good.
again.
We're going a little over time here, so
Sorry, Blade.
fuck yeah.
Blade. I always want to throw a Blade out there.
Yeah.
Blade
Yeah.
is
Just fuck yeah.
my shit,
Right.
man. You don't even really have to throw too much of like a
And
storyline
that's
or a
it. This is when
backstory.
these guys have issues. Everybody.
That's it. Blade. Boom.
Right.
And I would
Mic
have,
drop.
Aaron McGruder, the creator of Boondocks.
Sweet. Okay.
Because with the fight sequences they did have
That's
in
a
there, with
good
like
pull,
Bushido
man.
Brown on there.
Yeah, that's one people wouldn't immediately go to. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That's a good pull.
I always wanted to have like some like that, with like a black character, have him do it.
Oh, and this
it'll
is
be
animated too, right?
This is animated.
Perfect.
So like the fight
Perfect.
scenes would be amazing because you've seen the Boondocks. You've
Yeah.
seen whenever like they
That
have,
animation is great. Mhm.
or we get
Somewhat anime stylized. I think that would
Mhm.
really fit Blade well.
the whole thing is you
Um,
can't tell if it is or if it isn't.
Right.
Sam Dietz did Castlevania.
Okay.
I was him. Koata Hirano.
Mm-hmm.
He did Hellsing
Okay.
Unlimited,
Sweet.
which
I
again,
don't know. I've never seen that, but
oh dude, you need to watch. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
so it's like Van Helsing, but like in the future or something.
No.
No?
It's not like Van Helsing. Oh no, the Van Helsing family. Yeah, the
Okay.
Van Helsing
They're
family,
vampire
and they are and they have Alucard,
Okay.
who is the strongest vampire in the world. You can't beat him, and you have those overpowered characters. Like, how do you
Right.
even do that? It's amazing.
Cool.
Those are the guys that I'll have do it. Blade, that's it.
Okay.
No backstory.
Wow.
no
Yeah.
nothing.
That's right. All right. So my last one, I wanted a fun one in here, right?
Mm.
And this series you could do either animated or live action,
Right.
but it's Damage Control. Are you aware of what Damage Control is?
I'm trying to remember what that one is.
They drop it a little bit in Spider-Man: Homecoming, in the very opening scene when Michael Keaton is cleaning up after the attack on New York.
Yeah.
It's like the construction crew. Then like the government people come in. Those guys are from Damage Control, and Damage Control is like a section of the government, basically like Men in Black, right?
Mhm.
That's going to go in and they have to clean up after these superhero messes, right? So like when Spider-Man and Green Goblin trash Times Square, who comes in to actually like fix it? It's not taxpayer dollars, it's Damage Control, right?
Mhm.
So the opening of every episode would be whatever disaster the Damage Control is cleaning up, right?
Ah.
So, and you don't even have to directly show somebody. You could have like a thwip sound and a pumpkin bomb explode or something, and that's the mess, right? I would have this be mockumentary style if it's going to be live action. So I'm thinking like
I love that.
I'm thinking like The Office, but set in the DCU. And if we're gonna go that way, let's get Greg Daniels, who was the showrunner for The Office, to make it. He also worked on Saturday Night Live, Parks and Rec, and The Simpsons, and King of the Hill. So like, dude has a hell of a resume,
Yeah, that's a strong resume.
right? If you're gonna make it animated, let's get the people who made Archer.
Yeah.
because that's basically the same thing, right? You have like an office setting. So I think there's a lot of room to really have fun with this.
I like that idea.
Yeah, dude. Damage control is something that Marvel just needs to
It's
be
a
like
fun
to
thing.
kind of push out more. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then it's probably gonna have the whole Office and Parks Rec effect,
Yeah.
where you start with just the base,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just becomes bigger than what
Right.
it started.
People are dating each other, and
Mhm.
your characters grow out of there.
So then you forget
Um,
what it was the first season.
Did you ever see that show? I think it was either called Powers or Powerless. It was a DC show, and it starred Alan Tudyk.
Mm-mm.
And it was set, it was like this, he was Wayne's cousin or something like that.
Okay.
Basically like a poor man's Bruce Wayne.
Mm.
And
Poor
they
man's Bruce
kind of
Wayne.
made like gadgets and stuff for superhero people. But it was
Ah.
still kind of that same feel of like The Office, but set in the DCU.
It's kind of like your Howard the Duck idea to a certain extent.
Oh,
Not
oh,
really.
the MODOK, right? Is
Not
that
the
what you're
MODOK.
talking
No, were you the one that did the Howard the
Mm-mm.
Duck in the last episode?
about? Mm-mm.
Not Howard the Duck. It was DC's. It was just his idea, like them doing cases and everything. But this is like
Detective Chimp.
Detective Chimp.
Okay,
That's what
yeah.
it was. Howard the Duck is Marvel. It's still on Marvel, but
I would watch it. Well, Howard the Duck is getting a TV show
He is, yeah.
written by Kevin Smith. Can't wait.
Oh, it's
That's gonna be
amazing.
good. Yeah. So yeah, Damage Control, mockumentary style. It's The Office, but set in
Can't go wrong
DC.
with that.
I mean, in Marvel.
You can't go wrong with that, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I throw one more out
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Get some just quick honorable mentions if you have.
Quick
any.
honorable
Mhm.
mention. I was gonna do an Avengers Academy, but I was like, Mike already did something like that with Cadmus Academy.
Okay. Yeah.
So
but that's-
you have like Hazmat and
Right.
Raptile and all those people
Cool.
in there. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the next generation Avengers.
in like a prep school kind of
Mhm.
setting, and yeah, I can see that.
Or the last one would be like a Gwenpool short.
Dude, I had Gwenpool as an
Between, like-
animated one for a while too,
Yeah,
but I
so-
just didn't think that I didn't want to have Spider-Gwen and Gwenpool.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
on my
But
list.
since it's not like she's kind of like outside the planes
Right.
of like reality and comic books, so
Man,
she can
I
basically
saw
do
this
whatever she
great,
wants.
I saw this great page from Gwenpool on Reddit this past week,
Right.
and it is Gwenpool talking to Kitty Pryde, and Gwenpool's like, "How did you get here? Like, why are you even in this comic?" And Kitty's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Mhm.
And then Gwenpool goes, "Oh, wait, is Bendis writing this?" And like that just killed me.
See, the great
So-
thing about that is kind of like the old Batmite.
Yeah,
It's-
obliterate the fourth wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't even exist
No.
anymore.
Right.
She can
Well,
basically
well.
just throw herself in any type of comic
Yeah,
panel.
she
that
knows
wants
she's
to.
in a comic.
Just have like a little short between these things, or kind of have her pop up in these shows
would be fun.
between the time.
Yeah.
It'll be a dope little thing. That's
Yeah,
kind of
dude.
one of the things I was thinking about. But,
Honestly,
yeah.
it was when I saw that page when I was like, "Oh, that would be a good animated show." But then I didn't want to put two Gwen Stacy led shows on my list, so I'd rather have a Spider Gwen, if I have
Mhm.
to choose between the two. I only have two honorable mentions here, and it's a Spider-Man noir. I just really like that
This is
concept,
dope, man.
and you could do it in black and white. Get like was it
Suits
Robert
awesome in the
Rodriguez,
game.
the guy that made Sin City,
Mhm.
to do like that kind
Ooh,
of really
yeah.
stylized CGI background
Yeah.
stuff. And you can,
I'm picturing that right now. In my
since
head.
you're doing that with CGI backgrounds, you can make that for pretty cheap. And
Right.
that could be a series.
People
And
doing
then a
that for their
Gambit
house.
show.
I was thinking
just-
Gambit as
right,
well.
Just set in New Orleans.
That needs to happen.
Yeah,
a
it
show or
does.
a movie, it needs to happen.
Not with
necessarily.
Channing
not,
Tatum.
Yeah, I was going to say not necessarily with Channing Tatum.
No.
Sorry.
I actually liked Aaron Kitch, or was that kid's name that was in The Wolverine? When he shows up very briefly in the first solo Wolverine movie.
Mhm.
Ken was making a face there when I said that actor's name, but he was in like Friday Night Lights and stuff too. I think he did all right. You don't necessarily have to get that, but just a New Orleans set show starring Gambit. You can go deep into the Thieves Guild and everything. And Aaron Kitch, Taylor. There we go. Taylor Kitsch.
Or a Craven show.
Craven.
Craven needs to happen.
Dude,
Craven needs
do
to
that
happen.
like Ultimate Spider-Man, where he's a reality TV show,
Mm.
and it's just the reality TV show that Craven is making is like what we're getting.
Yeah,
I would
love
watch the shit out of that. To like someone who takes
Dude.
himself way too seriously, but like isn't as cool as he thinks he is.
He's so badass.
Right. It'd be like if Steve Irwin was an asshole. Right. Okay, yeah, I would watch that one. That one got me excited. Okay, yeah. So that was each of our 5 Marvel shows that we would pitch for the Marvel app.
Marvel, give us our coin.
There we go. Yeah, get some of that mouse money.
Like, seriously.
Get some of that mouse money. So that's all I got, man. These guys have issues. I've been your host, Carter Hutchison.
And I have been your co-host,
And this episode was produced by KPJ. We'll see you next time, kiddos.
This has been a Grassroots Comics production. Da da da! So what's your story?
What are you? Some kind of silly cartoon?
You got a problem with cartoons?